All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan. I'm the pastor and executive director here, and this is Noelle. She's our community director here. And hey, we're glad you're here. For you people joining us online, we're glad you are here, glad you're part of this community. Wherever you're joining us from, whatever state you're joining us from, you are us, and we are you, and we're glad you're here. To give you all a quick reminder of who we are, this is a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. And as always, there is always one thing we do not do, and y'all can shout it out on a count of three, all 4 words. If you're new with us tonight, well, you're not going to know these 4 words, but you will in just a moment because it'll be on your screen and you're going to hear some shouting. So 1, 2, 3. We don't do shame ever. Noelle, do you want to tell us some things we do?
Unless it's about bleached hair, and then we do.
You know what? Why'd you have to bring that up? I'm going to go back to wearing my hat next week. I'm wearing my hat.
If tonight is your first night here, welcome. We are so glad you are here with us. Devin, I know tonight's your first night here. We have welcome bags, so get with a home team member. They're the people greeting you right when you come through the door. Has a little bit about what we do here at Free Spiritual Community, a little bit about what Wagon Coffee does. There is some fresh roasted Wagon Coffee in those bags and just some other free swag. So grab one of those and just know that we're so grateful that you're here with us tonight. Next up, last Thursday on the 30th of November, we kicked off our 4-week small group series on Advent. So we're going over hope, peace, joy, and love. Rev Ryan and Carrie, our community ambassador, is leading this 4-week group for us. So if you missed the first one, no worries. Come join us this Thursday. And this is our 2nd year doing this. Last year we had a good crowd, but this year...
So here's what happened. Last year we had like 15 people, so we were like, you know what? We can meet in the prayer and meditation room.
Absolutely.
Who was there this week? A few of you. You know, we were packed in there like sardines because 26 people showed up. So if there's that many people next week, no worries. Y'all can come, bring your friends. We're going to find a bigger space to meet in. So it's all going to be good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. Do not let that deter you. Please join us. And if you're only able to make one of the 4 weeks, no problem at all. They don't build off of each other. So feel free to join for as many as little of these Thursday night from 6 to 7 small groups. Next up, we're teaming up with the Phoenix for Ha Ha Holidays. So this is going to be Thursday, December 14th. Abiel, is she in here? Oh, there she is.
Our
Abiel,
host for the evening.
You guys, if you didn't know this, yeah, you can give it up for Abiel. If you guys didn't know this, in a past life, Abby was a professional comedian. And so she is going to be emceeing this event for us, and we are going to be bringing in other professional comedians, and it's going to be a great night. So there's going to be 3 of them. Doors open at 6 p.m. The show starts at 7, probably gets over around 8:30 or so, but you must register. And there's a limited number of people.
Yeah, so we can get about 250 in this event. So 100 people have already registered. It's free. There's no cost. Yep. But we are asking people to register so we know how many people. So you'll see the little thing you can scan. It takes you right to the registration page. It'll take you like 30 seconds to register. There's postcards out front. If you want to grab a postcard and take it home with you, you can do that.
So please register. Childcare will be offered, but this is going to be a children-free. It's going to be heavy on the PG-13 side. So childcare's offered, but probably.
And it's our holiday party. Yeah. So the cafe's doing a special drink for this. We're going to have homemade cookies at this event from the home team.
Wear your best ugly Christmas sweater. It's going to be a great time.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Yes, it is. All right.
Next up, on December 20th, so this is a Wednesday from noon to 1 p.m., we are going to be doing a Yuletide yoga. So y'all know that on Monday evenings and on Saturday afternoons, we have a no-cost trauma-informed yoga class in this room that our certified instructor, Maggie Barfoot, teaches for us. So we're going to do a pop-up if those times don't work for you normally. So it's going to be Wednesday, December 20th from noon to 1. So for the first 40 to 45 minutes, it's going to be a trauma-informed yoga class. And then the last 15 to 20 minutes, Kira McAllister is going to be doing a sound bath. So it's going to be a great decompression during the holidays. So join us in this room December 20th from noon to 1. No cost, no sign up. Just bring yourself a yoga mat. It'll be all the zen. I've had a lot to say tonight.
I know, but we've got one more. Go ahead and say it.
Okay, we're on the home stretch, guys. Last up, we added a brand new meeting here at Free. It's on Monday nights and it starts December 11th, and it's Eating Disorders Anonymous. And so if this resonates with you or you're just curious about this group, it's already an existing group, but they just needed a new home. So it'll be on Monday nights from 6 to 7 in the prayer and meditation room. So join us on December 11th, and that'll be every reoccurring Monday. So
Thank you, Noel. That's a lot. Take a
Oh.
breath. Good things happening here. All right, y'all. We just talked about Advent, the groups we're doing on Thursday. But if you're a bit fuzzy on what Advent is, what it means, well, it's simply the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas. It's a time of preparation, time for God joining us in the world, being born into the world in the form of a baby. And so we take 4 weeks, and there's 4 Advent candles. Hope, peace, joy, and love. And then the center candle will light as well on Christmas Eve, because you all know our Christmas Eve services are on the 23rd of December. It's a Saturday night, 5 and 7. We're going to light the candles again. Remember what we did last year? We're going to sing Silent Night. Sarah Hornbuckle is joining us that evening to sing Silent Night. It's going to be awesome. So bring your family, friends, whoever you want to bring with you. It's a powerful evening. But to kick us off with the first Advent week of hope, I want to invite, where's Austin and Jess? Austin and Jess to come forward. They're going to read a prayer and light the first Advent candle of hope. Thank you all for being here.
So this evening, we light the first candle, the candle of hope. This candle reminds us that God's work in the world is about light shining in the darkness, the hope of a new day, the hope of healing, the hope of recovery, the hope of being connected to others, connected to something greater than ourselves, the hope of God being born again, born into the darkness, born in the form of a vulnerable baby. Tonight, we begin our journey to Christmas.
Thank you, Austin. And yeah, Austin, stay up here for just one moment. Look at that. You even got a round of applause because you guys did such a beautiful job. Now, here's the way we begin at Free on Saturday nights. We begin with celebrations. We lift up the good. We start with the good. We take 3 minutes for this. If you're online, you join us in this section and you put the good, the thing you're celebrating, put it in the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments. We will celebrate with you there. We believe that God joins with us in the celebrations, and maybe that's what you're celebrating is maybe a sobriety anniversary or a birthday or the new thing that comes in recovery, new jobs, new homes, new babies, whatever that new thing is, we want to celebrate it with you. A very important part of our time together. Something always profound happens when we celebrate together. But I want to start, and then I'm going to throw it to you all for 3 minutes. Austin here is celebrating 18 months of sobriety. Austin! Glad y'all are here. Thank you for being here tonight. All right, y'all, let's take 3 minutes, and this time is yours. Dara will pass around a mic. Darren will pass around a mic. Just raise up your hand and give us the celebration. Give us the good.
My name's Levon. I'm an alcoholic and an addict, and Wednesday I celebrated a year.
Way to go, Levon! Woo-woo! That's big stuff, brother.
My name is Fredo. I have 103 days off fentanyl.
103 days clean of fentanyl. Way to go, Fredo.
My name is Tyler, and I'm celebrating 51 days clean of meth.
Way to go, Tyler. Congratulations, buddy.
Hi, my name is Jake, and I'm celebrating 7 days off of meth.
All right, Jake. Congratulations.
Hello, my name is Julia, and I'm celebrating my birthday with you.
All right, happy birthday, Julia. Glad you're here.
My name is Matthew. I'm an alcoholic addict and a member of the tech team here. On Monday, I celebrated 6 months of sobriety, and I'm also celebrating a new seasonal job opportunity.
Way to go, Matthew. Proud of you, dude.
Hi, my name is Charlie. I'm celebrating 38 days sober today.
Charlie with 38 days. Way to go, Charlie. Look at these front rowers.
Hi, my name's Elise. I'm celebrating 3 years clean.
3 years clean, Elise. Way to go.
I'm Kai. I'm celebrating 8 months, 3 weeks free of fentanyl.
Way to go, Kai. She's our guest storyteller tonight.
I'm Ashley. I'm celebrating 70 days clean and sober from fentanyl.
All right, Ashley.
Hey, my name's Tara. I'm celebrating taking over Boulder County's crisis intervention and being the bilingual crisis interventionist for Boulder County.
All right, Tara, way to go. Congratulations.
My name is Mark, and I am 51 days on fentanyl.
All right, Mark, way to go, brother. 51 days.
My
Glad
name
you're
is
here.
Carmen. This is my third time here, and I've been 1 week sober.
Way to go, Carmen.
Hi, y'all. My name's Teray, and I'm celebrating 41 days free from alcohol.
All right, Teray, congratulations. There's a little reunion happening back there because Carmen was here last week, and she got shown some love here because that's what we do here, and we don't do shame. And you just heard her say she's a week sober. So, Carmen, we're so glad you're back here with us. Yeah. 7 seconds left. Who's taking us home? 3, 2. Nobody. All right, I'm sure someone online did. Thank you, Darren and Dara. Can I have the blue one? Give this to Miss Tammy. All right, Tammy Kennedy is joining me up here on the stage to join our online people. But we should say this first. It was a very significant week here at Free, wasn't it?
It was a big week.
It was a big deal. And it was big because of all these people here. Because y'all do know, we had our celebration a couple of weeks ago of closing down our campaign to raise the money to buy this building.
We had a lot of pie.
Yeah, we had a lot of pie. And what happened on Thursday at noon is we gathered with a bunch of people and pens and papers in the cafe, and we signed the papers, so we are officially owners of this building. This is our permanent home. Yeah, big deal. Thank you all for making it happen.
And we did that with cake. I'm seeing a theme
Yeah,
here.
I see a theme too, cake. We had cake because we don't do things around here without pie or cake, right?
That's right.
All right, shall we join our people?
Let's do it.
Do you want this side?
You know what? Let's change it up. You want
Ooh, routine. I'm a man of routine, but yes, honey, let's change it up. You want the first one?
Robin says, 4 days. Thanks, Ryan.
Way to
Awesome,
go,
Robin.
Robin.
Good job, Robin.
Proud of you. All right, Martha says, we know Martha. She's celebrating and grateful for a warm and loving Thanksgiving with Dara. Her brother and our extended family love you, Dara. Dara's here with us in the front row. Mama's giving you a shout out. Congratulations to a very happy Thanksgiving given the circumstances.
Angela says, celebrating my daughter's continued sobriety and her beautiful 2-week-old son, my grandson, Silas.
Hey, we'll celebrate that with you, Angela. Glad you're here. All right, we'll stop there, Tam. Thanks for joining me up here. I know we've got a sick baby that you got to go tend to. Prayers for little Bricks. He's not feeling good tonight. All right, y'all. You know we are starting a new series tonight. It's going to carry us all the way through December, and it's called Silent No More.
During the holiday season, not all is merry and bright. Shame, a silent echo of addiction, whispers unworthiness.
By sharing our story, we shed light on the darkness, challenging the stigmas of addiction. Every voice that rises, every story shared, is a step towards healing.
So stand up. The world needs you. And today we stand united, and our message is clear. Silent no more.
Silent no more. So, you know, before I got sober, when I was just kind of dabbling in the idea of sobriety, I actually went to one of my very first 12-step meetings, and I went to this meeting with Nadia Bowles-Weber. Some of you know Nadia. She's a New York Times best-selling author. She is a public theologian. Before that, she was a pastor. And some of you might remember not a few Saturdays ago, but a few months ago, she was here with us on a Saturday night celebrating 31 years of continuous sobriety. I also mentioned one of her articles that she wrote a couple of weeks ago in my message. But anyway, Nadia and I, we attended seminary together. She was actually graduating as I was coming in, but there was a little overlap. And I knew that she was sober and in 12-step recovery. And I'm not breaking her anonymity, by the way. She has written and spoken very publicly about these things. But anyway, I reached out to Nadia, and that day we decided to meet at a meeting and then sit down for coffee afterwards at a coffee shop. So we went to the meeting, and then we sat down, and I was at the coffee shop. I was holding my latte, and she asked me, she said, "Ryan, what'd you think?" And I said, "Well, you know, it was good and all that, but you see, the thing about me is I think I need to start my own group." And y'all know those people, right? I was that guy. Could not put down a drink, could not truly get sober, but man, I had the best ideas. I'm going to teach you all something about recovery. I'm going to start my own group. And so I'm explaining this to her. And I said, you know, the thing about me is I'm going to start my own group. And it's just going to be with a few clergy people and pastors. Because if I actually get sober, people cannot find out about this. And y'all, I will never forget what she said to me. I thought she would love the idea of being fellow clergy. She said, "Oh my gosh, can you imagine what a shit show that would be?" And it hurt my feelings because I thought it was a great idea. I thought she would think it was a great idea. You see, I couldn't see it, but she could see it. I couldn't see, but she could see that I still wanted to do things my way, and I wanted to try to get sober in hiding. See, in recovery, we talk a lot about hitting our bottoms, don't we? And you'll hear people say all the time, well, maybe if they lose the house, if they lose the kids, if they lose the spouse, if they lose the job, maybe then they'll hit their bottom and they'll be done. Maybe, maybe not. Because the truth is, we hit our bottom when we decide to stop digging. And on January 7th of 2013, I decided to stop digging because I was just so physically exhausted. I couldn't even pick up the shovel anymore. I was so emotionally spent. I was a pastor who was completely spiritually bankrupt. And the truth is, I wanted healing, but I wanted to do it on my own terms, and I wanted to do it in hiding, in isolation. And many of you know the story of the day I got sober. It was Tammy who was coming down the stairs, my wife, at 6 o'clock in the morning, January 7th, 2013, a Monday morning, and she was holding an empty bottle of vodka, and she had tears coming down her cheeks, and she said, "Ryan, what are we going to do? But remember, I have some very good ideas." And so I said, "Honey, you're absolutely right. I cannot stop drinking. And you've watched me try to put down the bottle so many times." I said, "I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to call a counselor." See, we did marriage counseling a couple of years prior. And so at 9 o'clock that morning, I picked up the phone and I called Sue, someone we had worked with in the past. And she answered. And I said to Sue, "Sue, I think I need to set up an appointment with you. Because, see, I think I might have a problem with drinking. I can't stop, and I've tried to stop, and it's taking everything from me that I value." Y'all, thank God for good therapists, because I will never forget what she said to me. She said, "Ryan, I'm so sorry to hear this." And she said, "I would love to see you. But first," thank God for good counselors, "but first, you must be involved in some sort of support group." And I'm like, "Support group like what?" And she said, "Have you ever heard of Alcoholics Anonymous?" It was like she was saying to me, "Stand up. Your healing does not come in isolation. Stand up." And the truth is, I wanted it, but I still wanted to do it on my own. But that was the day I started involving other people in recovery in my own recovery. And see, history proves to me, my history proves to me that I have a pattern of hiding and wanting healing, but wanting it in isolation, wanting it in hiding. And I wish I could tell y'all, if you get into recovery or when you get sober, those things just disappear. And maybe that's true for you, but it is not true of my story. You know, when I was 5 years into recovery, we were dealing with a very difficult family situation. In fact, in my 10 years of sobriety, it still remains the most significant loss that I've experienced. And man, I can tell y'all, everything in my bones said, stay quiet. Man, whatever you do, don't try to put words to this. Don't try to articulate it. Just work through this alone. If you try to talk to people about this, they're never going to understand. It's way too confusing. Just stay quiet. And do you know what my greatest fear was? I mean, I couldn't see it then, but I can see it now and looking back. My greatest fear was as a 35-year-old man. If you see what's really happening, if you know how my heart is breaking into a million little pieces, well then you're going to think of me that I am fundamentally flawed and therefore unworthy of belonging. And man, I don't want to go through that again. That's too painful. Thank God my experiences, my inner wisdom spoke louder in that season. My experiences, my inner wisdom was shouting, stand up. You know healing doesn't come in isolation. You've tried it so many times. It doesn't work. Stand up. And on that day, I shared in a 12-step meeting as openly and honestly as I could. And what I found was after the meeting, I was surrounded by people who had been there, people who said things to me like, yeah, me too. Yeah, I know how that feels. I know what you're going through. And you see, what I know is healing does not come through our silence. We were created for connection. And when you stand up, when you stop trying to do it alone, not only do you experience healing, but you are breaking down barriers and giving hope to people who need it most. It was the great Brené Brown who said in her book, Daring Greatly, she said this about connection. She said, connection is why we're here. We are hardwired to connect with others. It's what gives purpose and meaning to our lives, and without it, there is suffering. Is it true? You know, there's a fascinating story. It's found in Mark's Gospel, early on in Mark's Gospel, chapter 3. And it's a story about healing and standing up and controversy. And man, I've read this story a dozen times in the past, but I read it again this week, and it was like I was reading it for the first time. You ever have those moments? So I want to share this story with you, and it's a short story. It's only 6 verses, but absolutely fascinating. Here's how it starts. Another time, Jesus went into the synagogue, and a man with a shriveled hand was there. Some of them, and that's the religious leaders, some of them were looking for a reason to accuse Jesus, so they, the religious leaders, watched him closely to see if he would heal him on the Sabbath. And let's just pause there for one moment because we need a little bit of context. Remember, Jewish law stated that no work could be performed on the Sabbath. You're not allowed to work. It's a day of rest. No work could be done. And keep in mind, healing, if you know anything about healing, I mean, think about your own healing. Well, healing takes some work, doesn't it? So see, this story is posing us the question very early on, is Jesus going to remain faithful to the law, religious rules, or is Jesus going to be a heretic? I really like heretics. Now, you might be wondering in this story, why is it important that they would tell us that there's this man with a shriveled hand? What's going on with that? Well, in that time and in that day, if you had a shriveled hand, this is a hand that's permanently injured, and you are a man, well, this means that you could not work the fields, you could not provide for your family, you could not have economic security, and society would cast you to the margins. You were deemed a nobody. Also important to note, in that time and in that day, if you had a permanently injured hand, well, the thinking from the top, the religious top, was, well, you must have done something. You must have done some sort of sin, and now God is getting you back. This is a form of punishment. Now think about it. This man is in a synagogue, a place where people gather to seek after God. a place where he's surrounded by religious leaders. And imagine for a moment his loneliness, his despair, his shame, his silence, his yearning for healing. And y'all, one other note. If you read through the Gospels, there's 4 of them in the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. If you read through the Gospels, you will encounter numerous healing stories. And when you encounter those healing stories, be reminded that it is always about people on the margins being restored back into the community. Why do I say this? Because sometimes we can get stuck in these debates and we ask all the wrong questions. Like, oh, dude, I just don't understand. How could a hand just be healed? I mean, is this kind of magic woo-woo stuff? And I don't understand how it's possible. I mean, how does it really work? And when we get stuck in those bad questions, I think Jesus might respond to us and say, dude, that's your question? Because something bigger is happening here. Because when it comes to God's healing, it is always about restoring people back into a proper place of belonging. Are you with me? Very next verse. Jesus said to the man with the shriveled hand, stand up in front of everyone. And I want to pause for just one more moment because I find this verse absolutely fascinating. Why would Jesus say to this man, stand up in front of everyone? I mean, why does he make the act public? And you can imagine what this man must be thinking. Jesus, what are you doing, dude? I'm a nobody. They've even told me I'm a nobody. I'm like on the margins of society. I don't want to be seen by everyone. And Jesus, if you're getting ready to attempt to heal me, can't we at least do it in private? And Jesus, what if everyone sees me? What if it doesn't work? And can't you imagine Jesus saying to that man, well, we know it doesn't work in isolation, and besides, we've got some stigmas and barriers to break down with these fine religious folks, so you, my brother, must stand up. Now, here's what else is absolutely fascinating about this verse, because I geeked out over it this week, and I went to the Greek, because you know the New Testament is written in Greek. In the New Testament, this phrase, stand up, in the Greek, it is this word, and I want you to say it with me, agero. Say agero. Yeah, it literally means, it's a verb, and it means to arise from a state of moral sloth. What does a sloth do? The correct answer is not much. They're slothy. They don't do much. Jesus is saying to this man, don't be a moral sloth. And listen, y'all, you can be many things in your life. You could be many things in your recovery. But whatever you do, don't be a moral sloth. Stand up. Check it out. He keeps going. It's a short story. It's only 6 verses. Then Jesus asked them, the religious leaders, which is lawful on the Sabbath? To do good or to do evil? To save life or to kill? And they, the religious leaders, remained silent. He looked around at them in anger and deeply distressed at their stubborn hearts. He said to the man, stretch out your hand. He stretched it out, and his hand was completely restored. And y'all, I love this about Jesus. He always put people before religious rule. And here barriers are being shattered. And the religious leaders are among the silent. And stretch out your hand. I think it's Jesus' way of saying your healing requires an openness to connection, an openness to a new way. Stand up and stretch out your hand. And the very last verse, then the Pharisees, a religious group, went out and began to plot with the Herodians, another religious group, how they might kill Jesus. And that's interesting, isn't it? Because apparently the religious leaders have zero qualms with murder, but they have big beef with healing on the Sabbath. And see, the religious leaders, they understood what they were doing, and Jesus understood what was happening. He knew he was causing some trouble. He knew this could eventually lead to his own death, but in this story, love wins. See, Jesus believed in the sacred worth of people enough to sacrifice his life. It means you're worth it. You're worth it. Stand up, stretch out your hand. Do you believe it enough? Do you believe it enough to sacrifice your fear? Do you believe it enough to sacrifice your ego, enough to sacrifice your silence, enough to sacrifice the shovel and stop digging? Stand up, stretch out your hand. It's about connection. Because you do know, we're told that when it comes to communication, we're at an all-time high. And yet the same studies tell us that when it comes to connection, we're at an all-time low. In fact, it was the data from the General Social Survey, the GSS, that told us that the number of Americans who have no close friends has tripled in the last 2 decades. And that when people are asked, how many confidants do you have in your life? You know what the most common answer is? 0. In fact, the percentage of Americans who say that they're lonely has doubled from 20% to 40% since 1980. 1 out of 4 Americans say they haven't talked to anyone about something of importance to them during the last 6 months. And men in the room or men watching online, pay close attention here, because the data shows us that men have an especially hard time keeping deep relationships. And you do know recently the Surgeon General was asked, what's the greatest public health crisis of our day? He didn't say diabetes, he didn't say heart disease, he didn't say cancer. He said the greatest public health crisis of today is isolation and social disconnection. Fascinating, isn't it? And see, it's the great paradox of our hyper-connected digital age that we seem to be drifting apart, even though we know the research, and the research confirms that human connection lies at the heart of human well-being. And it was Johann Hari, the New York Times bestselling author, the one who gave a wildly popular TED Talk on addiction, who said the opposite of addiction is not sobriety. The opposite of addiction is connection. So I'd say to you, if you're here tonight and you are struggling to connect, you just struggle with this whole connection thing, this human connection thing, the spiritual connection thing. If you struggle with that, well, you're not alone. But you do have to take some steps in your life, and I would encourage you to start very simply. Maybe tonight, if you struggle with connection after the service, maybe you can commit to sticking around for just 10 minutes. And you're going to commit to meeting 2 new people. And I realize for some of you that makes your heart go real fast. 2 new people in a non-creepy way, of course. And you do know the cafe is open till 9 o'clock. You can hang out till 9 o'clock in the cafe. But I would just encourage you to start with 10 minutes. Or maybe if you're not going to do that, maybe you're going to get in your car. I would encourage you, if you struggle with connection, get in your car and make a phone call. But keep both hands on the wheel and do it through Bluetooth, right? Call someone. Encourage them. Lift them up. Tell them how great they are. Because you do know when you lift up others, it's a profound way to connect with someone else. It gets you out of your head. We talked about it last week. Call someone and lift them up. Or try this one this week. Be intentional with your time with one other person this week. And what I mean by that is you're going to call someone, or you're going to text someone, or you're going to message someone, and you're going to be intentional. This is not hangout time. Nothing wrong with hangout time. We need hangout time. We need fun time. This is important. But you're going to reach out to someone and say, hey, can we do lunch? Can we do coffee this week? And I want to talk to you about this. And open your heart, because apparently 1 out of 4 of us have not opened our heart about the things that matter with anyone in the last 6 months. So you're going to open your heart. You're going to set aside that fear of going deep. Yes, you can do it. And I'll close with this. Maybe you're here tonight, or you're watching tonight, you're here with us digitally, and you haven't been able to get clean and sober. You've been trying it on your own so many times, and you were just filled with that despair. And to you, I would say, stand up. You are worthy of connection. Or maybe you're here tonight, and maybe you're one of the ones that put down the drug or the drink some time ago. You're in recovery, but yet you still are filled with this loneliness. You're among the 40% of people who feel alone. And to you, I would say, stand up. You are worthy of connection. Or maybe you're here tonight and you are watching someone you love battle this brutal disease of addiction. And it fills you with all sorts of shame because an old story tells you that it's all your fault, and you live into that shame. And to you, I would say, stand up. You are worthy of connection. Or maybe you're battling your mental health, and you've kept these struggles silent, and you know that the silence is killing you. Well, stand up. You're worthy of connection. Or maybe you are dealing with a very difficult family situation, a difficult circumstance in your life. And something has told you that, well, they'll never understand. They won't get it if I try to open up to someone about it. It's just too confusing, and they won't understand what I'm going through. And maybe you haven't connected with someone in 6 months about the things that matter. And to you, I would say, stand up. You are worthy of belonging. And maybe you're looking at some of the pain in your life. And somewhere along the way, you believed into the narrative that God is getting you back for something in your past, that God is punishing you somehow. And somewhere along the way, even religion confirmed that idea for you. And to you, I would remind you, God is for you. God is on your side. And when it comes to your healing, God will break every single religious rule. But your healing, the healing of others, demands something of you. Stand up. Stretch out your hand. Whatever you do, don't be a moral sloth. It will get you nowhere. You see, my brothers and sisters, we, every single one of us, is worthy of love and belonging. We are worthy of connection. Our lives depend on it. So what I want to do now is play a song. This is one of my favorite songs. And I want to invite you into just a moment of reflection. Where are you struggling with connection? Where do you need connection in your life? Where do you need connection with others? Where do you need connection with God? Reflect on, what does connection mean to you? What's it look like to you? What's it feel like? This song is called The Sound of Silence, not by the great Simon and Garfunkel, but by the great band Disturbed. Take a moment. did it better, Simon or Garfunkel or Disturbed? We're a split audience. We're a divided people. So when a division happens, I have to give the correct answer. And the correct answer is every now and again, a band comes along and does a cover song, and they do it better than the original. I won't tell you what I think on the matter, but I thought it was a pretty good song. All right, y'all, if you're new with us, I want you to know that every single Saturday night after the message, we have a guest storyteller in the house to share with us some of their experience, strength, and hope around the topic at hand. And I can't wait for y'all to hear Cai's story. Many of you know Cai. Cai is just over now 8.5 months clean of fentanyl. She started coming to Free 17 days into her recovery, and the reason so many of you know her is because every single Saturday night she celebrates with us here and lets us know how many days she has clean, and that's a big part of her story, and she'll share more about that. But help me welcome my friend Cai to the living room. Cai Morris.
Yes.
So good to have you on this stage. Now, you might remember when we did our Fentanyl series, Cai shared for just like 2 or 3 minutes. She read part of her story, and I said, Cai, we got to have you back and hear some of the full story because it's so powerful.
Thank you.
So, Cai, we won't go through the whole backstory, but she lived 6 years in active fentanyl use, fentanyl addiction. That wasn't your first rodeo with drugs and alcohol. This was a long part of your story, but 6 years of something that took you down a very dark road. And you said when we were talking the other day, at the time you were living in a trap house for 6 years.
Yes.
That's a long time in a trap house.
Sure is.
And you said, my addiction was so powerful, I had to be locked up to stop.
Yes. So it got to the point where it wasn't even a habit anymore. It was an instinct to use. There were a lot of times when I wanted to stop using and I physically couldn't. I was terrified to stop using. Don't get me wrong, the withdrawals were absolutely horrific, and I did withdraw in a jail cell. For the first 3 days, I was kicking and screaming, throwing up, like the whole nine. It was absolutely terrible. But the fear of the withdrawals was actually worse than they actually were. So that's something that I think is important.
Yeah. And talk to us a little bit, Cai, about the disconnection while in active addiction. What that disconnection look like for you?
So I was disconnected from everything, my family, my friends. I was in a house full of people, but I felt so alone. It was just, I was cut off from everything.
And you told me at least, you were physically dying.
Yes.
You were weighing in at 85 pounds. In fact, I believe we have a picture of the old Cai. Do we have that? There she is. Yeah, one of the things I love about recovery is you literally get to see new people.
Yeah, I feel like I look like a completely different person now. And I'm definitely really happy and blessed for where I'm at now.
And your mom would come to see you sometimes, right? Your mom is here tonight.
Yes, she's here.
Hi, Mom.
My mom is my best friend. We're very close now, but yes, she would come to see me when I was in my addiction. And I was very skinny every time she would see me, and she would try not to cry, but she would usually cry. She would bring me food or bring me clothes. And she would see me go back into this house full of trash, and she told me many occasions she was just waiting for a coroner to call to identify my body, and that's just no way for a mom to live. I put her through absolute hell, and it's just, I didn't care in my addiction. I didn't care that I was putting her through hell.
And Cai, can you imagine now? I know how close you are to your mom. You say you talk to her on the phone multiple times a day.
Yeah.
She's
I
your
call her on
biggest
every break.
cheerleader.
Yes.
Can you imagine now going back to that mindset of, yeah, I don't care about the people I love most?
Absolutely not. Like, I can't even imagine, like, not caring about the way that she feels, and it's just a lot different now.
Yeah. And that's the darkness we're talking about.
Mhm.
It's a dark world when you no longer care. And I know so many of you here know exactly what that's like. So, Kai, tell us what happened about 9 months ago.
So 9 months ago, I was doing pretty well. Like, I had life worked out. You know, I had a job. I became a sheet metal apprentice, and I was really proud of that. I was in sober living. I was going to meetings, but I was really just going because I was required by sober living. I would get my signatures. I would leave. I didn't share at meetings. And I didn't have any connection with people that weren't using. I still had connections with people that were using, and I thought that that was okay. And I ended up calling my ex-boyfriend, and my plan was just to drink. I was just gonna drink. But as soon as I drank, my inhibitions were lowered, and as soon as I saw the fentanyl, I used it again. I used fentanyl, meth, and alcohol.
And then what happened? I mean, I know it was a short relapse for you.
Yeah.
And we say all the time here, relapse does not have to be part of your recovery story, but we also know that for many of us, it is part of the story, but the story doesn't have to stop there.
Yeah.
And you said something very important, Kai, that you were sober, you were clean and sober, but you weren't connected.
Yes.
You were going to meetings, but you were just getting a check mark.
Yes.
You were staying quiet.
Yeah.
You weren't exactly standing up and stretching out your hand. So what'd that night look like?
So I was sitting in the trap house. Again, I was at the same trap house, and I was there for about 3 hours. And then I started looking around, and I saw everybody nodded out, and I saw the trash piled to the ceiling, and I was like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, why am I sitting here again? And so I looked at my watch, and I was like, oh my God, it's almost curfew time. So I got up, and I left, and I was like, there's still time. It's not too late. So I went back to sober living, and I did a BA, and it came up positive. And then I just told my house manager to call the staff member that was on shift. And as soon as they got there, I told them exactly what I did. I was like, look, I really screwed up. Like, I used alcohol, meth, and fentanyl. Like, what are my options? Like, I don't want to go back down this road. And it was different this time because I actually admitted what I did, and I asked for help. And they told me that my options were to go to Pathfinders, which shout out to them. It was a great program, and it was really different because I was ready for it. Like, I actually admitted what I did wrong, and I asked for help, so I was willing to receive the help, so it was a lot more helpful. And that's where I found free also.
Yeah, and what's free meant to you?
Free has meant everything to me. Like, I've met a lot of my close friends here. I have a lot of support here, somewhere I can belong and somewhere I can just be myself, so.
Yeah, and Kai, you also told me, I want to touch on this because I thought it was so important. Suboxone, you got rid of, you were offered Suboxone from a doctor, and you could have taken it. You know what it's like.
Yeah.
But you had the script shredded, and why'd you do that?
So I've used Suboxone in the past many times, and you know, I know there's a lot of people that it works great for, and a lot of people that do need it to get off of it. But for me, I was already off of it, and I was already through the withdrawal symptoms, and my addict brain was like, oh, I can get back on Suboxone. This is great. Like, and I decided, you know, I talked to my sober living, and they were like, are you sure you want to do that? And they made me think about it, and I'm so glad that I shredded the script because I do believe that that's the reason why I was successful this time around. Like, I do believe that for me, Suboxone keeps me addicted. It keeps that mindset going like, oh, when can I take my next strip? When can I take my next strip? And then I go from doing that to planning to stopping and taking it so I can use. And so it's just a never-ending cycle. So I'm really glad that I'm not on anything now.
Yeah. And today, what's connection look like for you? How do you describe the connection with other people, the spiritual connection with God? What's it all look like for you?
So I have a lot of friends now. Like, if you would have told me, you know, 9 months ago that I have more friends than I ever thought was possible. I have more connections than I ever thought was possible. And people that actually genuinely care about me, not people that are trying to use me or people that are just around because it's a place to use. Like, it's just it's all completely different. And I'm just very thankful for everybody that I have in my life today.
Yeah, and you said prior to coming to Free, you had zero belief, zero spiritual connection.
Yes.
If there was a God, this God was punishing you for your past.
Yes.
But what you found was a God of love and a God who is keeping you clean and sober. And what does that look like today? Because you didn't expect these things to happen.
Yeah.
You pray today.
Yes, I pray. And if you would have told me that I was going to be praying, I wouldn't have believed you. But I pray every day. I pray in the mornings when I get up. I pray for when I'm struggling. I pray for other people. And, you know, I say the serenity prayer all the time. So.
And you go to meetings, you actually speak up in meetings, you are not quiet in your recovery anymore.
Yes.
You told me you had a whiteboard at home and you
Yes.
write on this whiteboard. What do you write?
Yeah, I just write like little encouraging notes and like things to kind of cheer me on. And I keep it in my bathroom so that I can see it every morning, you know, just encouraging myself.
Yeah. Take notes. Some of y'all need a whiteboard and write notes on it.
It helps.
So Kai, let's close with this story because I love this story.
Okay.
You were asked recently for a Thanksgiving meal to get some foil.
Yes.
And this caused Kai some tension.
Yes.
Some people in this room already know exactly where this story is going. Foil. Tell us about the foil.
Okay, so I used foil to smoke my fentanyl. So, you know, back in my using days, I was always desperate looking for it. There was never enough. I was always going to the store and stealing it. And so when I was asked to go get foil for this Thanksgiving meal, at first I was triggered. I was like, oh man, they want me to go get foil. Nobody else wants to go. It's snowing outside. And then I was like, no, wait a minute. This is a good opportunity to change that bad memory. So it was instead to tent some turkeys to go feed the homeless. So instead I would be feeding hungry people with the foil. So it kind of changed that from a negative to a positive and made me realize that I was no longer living a life of desperation, but living a life of purpose.
Yeah, it showed you how far you'd come in your recovery.
Yes.
And Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, would call this redemptive perspectives, taking the negative turn and finding the redemptive perspective.
Nice.
I'm so glad you're able to do that, Kai. And I want to close with this because a few weeks ago, we were standing just outside these doors, and Kai came up to me, and she said, hey, I hope it's okay that I celebrate each Saturday night during celebrations, because when she got here, I'm celebrating 17 days clean of fentanyl. Then it was 30, then it was 100, then it was, and it keeps going up. And now she's in months. She uses months now. Did y'all notice that tonight? Throwing us off a little bit. And she said, hey, I hope that's okay. And I said, are you kidding me? Of course it's okay. And she said, good, because the reason I do that is because it's part of the process of holding me accountable to other people. That's part of what connection is. And I'm so glad you do that, Kai. I'm so glad you're part of this community. I'm glad you call this place home. Yes. And thank you for being brave enough to share your story with us tonight.
Thank you.
Cai Morris, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Kai. All right, y'all. The way we close things here on a Saturday night is very similar to the way we begin. We begin with celebrations. We end with heartaches, the burdens that we try to carry. We talked about it all night, trying to do it on our own, doing it alone. It doesn't work very well. We suck at it. So it's why we have community. It's why we have a God who hears the cries of the people. So if you are carrying a burden and you need some upliftingness, you need some prayer, some encouragement, well, we take 3 minutes for this, a very important part of our time together. Again, if you're online, just drop your comments in the YouTube section, the Facebook section, and we'll join with you there. If you're carrying a burden, just lift up your hand. Daryl will get you a mic, or Darren, and we'll take 3 minutes. This time is yours.
My name is Mark, and I suffer in silence from depression, loneliness, and fear. And I'm going through some stuff with my mom right now and family that I'm kind of nervous for her. But I just need to speak about that because I isolate.
Yeah, Mark, thanks for sharing that with us and putting words to that. That's a big step, dude. Prayers for you.
My name is Austin, and my brother is kind of sick, and his kidneys are failing, and he just got put on the transplant list to try to get new kidneys, so keep him in your prayers, please.
All right, Austin. Prayers for your family and your brother, and you, dude.
I'm Connor. And prayers for my family, because we just lost my grandma due to sickness.
All right, Connor, thanks for sharing that with us, buddy. Prayers for you and your family.
I'm Dara. A member of our extended family took his own life this week before we could get him into treatment. We were working on that over Thanksgiving, so if you could keep his sister Hira and his family in your thoughts. His name was Michael.
All right, prayers for them, prayers for you and the family, Dara.
No prayer too small.
For my son's dad, he's just really struggling with drinking, and it's making him really depressed, and just we're having a hard time getting our son back because of it. I mean, other things too, but yeah. His name's Ken.
Prayers for Ken and prayers for you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing that with us.
My name is Rachel. Please pray for my family because alcoholism runs in our family, and every year we have a Christmas party at a bar. So my mother's pretty drunk right now. So just pray for peace for her, please.
Yeah, prayers for your family and all those still battling. Anyone else? We got 30 seconds left, right there in the middle.
Yeah, my name is Joshua, and I was just at rehab at Harmony like 28 days ago, and there was a man there that came in to detox when I was hurting, and just lifted us up. And I remember when he left, I was like, that's how I want to look and be when I leave here. He was supposed to come to sober living with me, and it just turned out that, you know, it was an inconvenience, and then the place he wanted to go didn't end up working out, so he went back to New York and he relapsed, and it's been about a week now. And I've been trying to get out there to fly out there and bring him back, and he's kind of answering the phone. He won't answer the phone, and so I'm just praying for him to remember who he is and who God made him to be.
Yeah, prayers for him, brother. And I'm glad you're here tonight, Joshua, lifting him up.
I'll be really quick. If we could just keep Addison in our prayers. Addison, I got out of rehab 11 days ago, and we really went through that together, and unfortunately she relapsed and has been kind of struggling with getting back to us. So yeah, just keep her in your prayers.
All right, lifting up Addison tonight. As you can see, each week, a lot of pain and heartache, and it's why we need connection and community. So keep lifting each other up. And Darren, do you want to join me up here? Can you get the other mic, though? This mic gets crackly. It's the white mic. We're replacing it next week. Can we get... Here you go, Bobby. And I don't have my head mic tonight because it went out. So we got to buy 2 mics this week. That's what we're going to get on Amazon for. Thank you, tech team.
I do have. There's a couple of people in our family that
Yeah.
I want to keep in our prayers. Haven't heard from them in weeks, and I don't want to say their names right now.
Yep.
But just hoping that they're okay, and that if you could just keep these 2 special people in your prayers. Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Darren. You want to join me for our online people?
Absolutely.
All right, let's join our online heartaches.
I don't want to break the rules.
Yeah, well, it's not a rule. It's not like a religious rule or anything. It's just, I'm a man of habit. All right, you take the first one.
All right, Courtney O'Connor. Prayers for my uncle's continued strength as he is undergoing another risky surgery tomorrow morning. We'll keep you in our prayers, Courtney, and for your uncle.
Yeah, definitely. Roger says, prayers for all who are struggling finding connection. Yeah, Roger, lifting them all up. I'm glad you shared that with us. Prayers for all of them. And that's all we have online tonight. All right, Darren, stay up here a minute. I want Darren to stay up here a minute because here's what we have to understand here in this community. We have been, one of the coolest things to see about being able to purchase this building was over the past 5 months, just an incredible amount of generosity from you all to raise almost $1 million. And it is not lost on me. We have been incredibly blessed. And part of that is then you actually get to be a blessing to other people. And so I want to say that tonight to say that all the generous giving that comes in tonight, because I know y'all very generous givers, all of the giving that comes in tonight, we are giving to Darren's organization, Colorado Artists in Recovery, because their big fundraiser is next Saturday. And I know some of y'all will be at it. If you do go, you're going to miss something really incredible here, but you're going to get something just as incredible with Darren. And so everything that comes in tonight is going to go to help out their fundraiser. Darren, can you give us like the 30-second version of what Colorado Artists in Recovery is? And before I say that, I just want to say we have partnered with Darren in so many events. He's been a great partner. His office, the Colorado Artists in Recovery office, is here. We love and value the work that is being done. It's really special work. Will you just say the 30 seconds about what you all do?
Yeah, it's about connection, right?
Truly.
There are a lot of people in recovery that have a very gentle soul about them, and they have a lot of trouble reaching out and showing that piece of them to other people, being vulnerable. And art and music are such natural ways. You saw it in that video, right? The people standing there with their songs, that's their stories. And there's this boat coming to them with an avenue to share their stories. That's what they do here at Free.
Yeah.
That's what we do at Care. Just find your color.
And if you want to know more about how Darren started CARE, it's a really powerful story, but he is the founder and the executive director of CARE, and just some really incredible things happening there. So grateful for that partnership. And what I would say to you and those of you online, for those of you that you are used to getting on our website and making a donation, we are so grateful for that. Believe me when I say that, so grateful for it. And we will continue to have needs here to keep this thing going, to keep the mission going of breaking the silence of addiction. But I would say to you, go to his website instead, coloradoartisanrecovery.org, hit the donate button. Everything that comes in these boxes tonight and online will go to Colorado Artisan Recovery. So please give generously, because really good things are happening with CARE and with Darren's work. So thank you for that, Darren.
Thank you.
Do you want to join me for the prayer?
Absolutely.
I think we should pray together. Absolutely. But here's what I think we need to have them do. Stand up. Will the real Slim Shady please stand
up?
Put
Please
one of
stand
those.
up.
Oh, Darren, let's move up here. And I'll tell you what, because every week I invite you to open your hand. Hands, plural. And it's a sign of openness. Open for a new way, open for connection. And if you don't know the St. Francis prayer, well, it'll be on your screen, and we'll say it together. And it goes like this. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon.
Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, as to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
Amen. Grace and peace to you, my free brothers and sisters. See you next time.